Good day to our viewers and welcome to the National Arts Council Women's Month Roundtable discussion webinar. My name is Siba Balwe and I'm a Marketing and Communications Officer at the National Arts Council. This discussion aims to celebrate Women's Month by discussing the theme, The Future is Inclusive, Women Shaping South Africa's Creative Economy. This dialogue and others like it illustrates the mandate of the National Arts Council, which are to provide and encourage the provision of opportunities for persons to practice the arts. And just to note, at the National Arts Council, the arts refers to the following disciplines: craft, dance, theatre, literature, multidiscipline, music, and visual arts. Secondly, to promote the appreciation, understanding, and enjoyment of the arts, to promote the general application of the arts in the community, to foster the expression of national identity and consciousness by means of the arts, to uphold and promote the right of any person in the freedom and the practice of the arts, to give the historically disadvantaged such additional help and resources as required to give them greater access to the arts, to address historical imbalances in the provision of infrastructure for the promotion of the arts, to promote and facilitate national and international liaison between individuals and institutions in respect of the arts, and finally, to develop and promote the arts and to encourage excellence regarding these. The National Arts Council's function is to support individuals, organizations, and institutions. This support includes, but is not limited to, financial support, advice, and information to any person, organization, or institution. Please be aware that the National Arts Council can determine which field of the arts should take preference for the purpose of support. Follow us on our social media platforms for more information on upcoming funding calls and guidelines so you can take the opportunity to submit your project funding applications. Also, regularly check our platforms for more information on our funding guidelines as they may differ per call. Before we get into this dialogue, I'd like to announce some house rules. All speakers and participants are kindly to remain on mute when not speaking. Participants are welcome to send any questions or comments during the session via the chat on Zoom or through the comment section on Facebook. And there will be a Q&A session towards the end of the discussion, and participants may ask a question by raising their hand to be allowed to speak. I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be a very fruitful conversation, and now let us engage. Over to you, Mpumi.
Good morning, everyone. It is a pleasure to have you on this webinar this morning. We are very excited to be engaging you on our topic for this morning, which is about inclusivity. I think if we think about Women's Month and why we are commemorating this time, it's very important for us to understand that so many women before our generation fought for us to have access and agency. And so it is an absolute pleasure to be able to be sharing information, because information and knowledge is able to open pathways. So we're very excited to be engaging our panelists this morning. My name is Mpumi Maisa. I am a curator, a writer, a researcher, as well as an art advisor. I am the founder of the Tsoko Art Advisory, where we have initiatives like Gliding Through the Gallery, which make art accessible and educate the greater public about the arts, as well as the ways that they can support and be a part of that ecosystem. So I'm very happy to be introducing the panelists for this morning, who will be sharing their wealth of knowledge with us. So Veronica, I'm going to pass it over to you. Could you please tell us who you are and more about your practice?
Thank you, Mpumi. It's really lovely to be here. Good morning, everyone that's on the call. I'm Veronica King. I'm the founder and the CEO of Emotini Consulting. I'm also an executive coach, a facilitator, and a social justice practitioner. And regarding the arts, I have the privilege of serving as the chairperson of the Bag Factory Artist Studios. So my journey into the arts has not been as an artist, as a practicing artist, but as someone who has spent much of my working life with people, organizations, institutes, and systems around questions of leadership, identity, inclusion, and culture transformation. And regarding bringing it back to the arts, so through my work at the Bag Factory and my involvement that I had in co-leading the South African Pavilion at the 2024 Venice Biennale, I had the privilege of working alongside extraordinary and amazing artists, and it really enabled me to see firsthand both the power of creative practice and the conditions artists need to really thrive. So what I love about the arts is that they take us to places beyond policies and strategies, and even sometimes certain conversations that we cannot see. And I think for me, art really surfaces things that have been silenced, challenges what we've normalized, preserves memory, and also helps us imagine sometimes things that haven't even come into existence yet. So that's why today's theme really resonates with me. The future is inclusive. And inclusion is not just about women being visible or being invited into the room. For me, it's about women having voice, agency, resources, ownership, and the power to shape the room itself. So I'm delighted to be part of this conversation today and about how we build creative economy in which South Africa, the extraordinary imagination of South African women is not only celebrated, given that it's Women's Month, but truly and intentionally, deliberately, and proactively supported, sustained, and able to lead. Thank you, Mpumi. You on mute.
Thank you so much, Veronica. You were very, very generous in your introduction. It is lovely to have you here, and we really look forward to getting more of your insights. Pumla, could you please tell us about yourself and your practice, as well as your journey in the arts?
Hi, everyone. My name is Pumla Warbon, and yeah, I think I started my creative journey very, very young within the artist. I used to be an artist myself. I used to be a dancer. I know very well NAC. I know the theater very well, so that's how I started. And then I gradually graduated into, wanting to know more about the business. So the marketing aspect of it. So right now I'm currently in the position of label manager at a Sony Music Entertainment, a record label, as well as, I do promotions. So artist management as well. I do that. And yeah, I work for a big firm called Back to the City, very big promotions, concert eventing, as well as my biggest prize right now is Women in Music. So I am a vice chair at Women in Music South Africa. And yeah, it was established in 2020. And yeah, that is one of my biggest pride. Thank you so much.
Lovely. Thank you so much. It's really great to learn about your journey. Tanya, would you like to go next and tell us who you are and more about your practice, please?
So I'm Tanya Bailey, and similar to Veronica, I'm not a creative. I'm one of the allies in the creative space. I come from a large background of fundraising. I've been in the development space for 15 years, practicing and fundraising particularly. I realized last night looking at the notes that half my time in fundraising was fundraising for the arts. And either it was for Zip Zap Circus School, even in after schooling programs through creativity, and now at Bridges for Music particularly. And I think, Veronica, you said it so beautifully. I sit on this panel and very honored to sit on this panel because I truly believe inclusion for women means a seat at the table with the decision making. And we'll go into that later, but I think this opportunity also to just speak in such a special month. Women are just, I think, wired differently. So it's very special for me to be on this panel. But I think just speaking about the arts and how special and how one can dream when you see it. I also speak from the lens of a mom with a daughter who started dance at 3 years old now. And how it just gives her a moment to be, truly to be. And I think that is the beauty in the space and the ability to sit on a seat like this with you guys today. So thank you so much.
Stunning. It's good to have you have a seat at the table. And we're really looking forward to hearing more. And speaking of allies, Colin, would you like to please tell us about yourself as well as your journey within the arts?
Thank you, Mpumi. Good morning to everyone that's online. It's a pleasure to be here, and thanks to the invite from the National Arts Council. My name is Colin Dlamini. I am the co-founder and executive producer at Creative Synergy. Also run a public affairs consultancy called VM Co Advisory, where we specialize in public affairs, cultural diplomacy, and stakeholder management, government relations, and reputation management for various corporate clients. Now, at Creative Synergy, we really are focused on capital mobilization, capacity development for creatives, and we produced an annual platform called Creative Synergy, which convenes government, policymakers, investors, and creatives across the spectrum, whether it's music, fashion, film, across the board. And yeah, I've produced quite a number of also international shows, a South African Arts and Culture Showcase in New York, South African Night at the World Economic Forum in Davos, as well as a few events in South Africa. So it's a pleasure to be here to engage on this very important topic on a special month, which is Women's Month. And yes, I'm the thorn amongst these beautiful roses on this panel. So thanks for being here. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Colin. We have thoroughly enjoyed hearing about the work that you have done. So yeah, I think to everyone that's here, it is really, really good to have you. We hope that this session will be generative and really, really informative. So our theme for this morning is the future is inclusive, and we're really thinking about the women that are shaping South Africa's creative economy. And I really just want us to maybe root in on that and see what each of our panelists has to say about this practice. So when we say that the future is inclusive, Pumla, what does this mean to you?
The future is inclusive. What it means to me personally, especially again, I am a woman. I am from different parts of the industry, from the background to and the forefront. So it means being. It's no longer a thought, or it's no longer a mission for organizations or promoters to say, hey, how do we include? But it just switches on for them to say, okay, this is how it looks like. We need to include disabled women and disabled people within the art spaces. How do we include them more? How do we open up doors for women in music that want to speak more and be seen? Because really, it's really about being seen. And how do we factor those things within the industry itself? So it shouldn't be. So for me personally, the future should be inclusive to a point where you don't think about it. It's just the way it is. Bread is made with flour, with this. You don't have to overthink, how do I include more women? You just wake up and that's how it is. So that's for me. Yes. Invite.
I love that, because I think it seems like you're saying that inclusivity shouldn't be something that's conceptual, right? There have to
Correct.
be frameworks in place and policies. And I think just maybe speaking of policy, Colin, can you maybe speak about what it means from a policy perspective when we speak about inclusivity? How do we then, put policies in place to make sure that it goes beyond the conceptual and becomes tactile?
But thanks, Mpumi. You're so right. When you talk about, inclusivity, it should just move beyond just slogans and concepts. It's really about being deliberate on how we design policies that provide an enabling environment for women to thrive in the arts and the creative economy. Women, for the longest time, have been underserved in the arts. You would think that, as a 30-something-year-old democracy, we should have progressed by now. But the truth of the matter is that we haven't. And this is why we are having these conversations, because we still have a lot of structural issues. And it starts with who is designing these policies. Because if at the table you have only men, it's easy for them to have those blind spots where they don't think about, okay, there's also, we need to cater for women when we have this call for funding applications. We have to be deliberate to ensure that we achieve equitability. So it really starts with us ensuring that what is the composition of the decision makers? And then secondly, when those policies are developed, are we being intentional about ensuring that women and people with disabilities, etc., are included in those policies? So we still have a long way to go, but we need to really have a drumbeat and consistently raise these issues, because it's highly critical. And if we want our children, I have a daughter, and I want her one day to see the arts as an option for her to make a career. But if we don't ensure that we create that enabling environment for our kids and our grandkids to see the arts as that gateway for them to make a living, then history will judge us harshly.
I completely agree. But I also, do think that it is very important for us to also, spotlight the people at a grassroots level who are doing the work, who are fundraising, and who are changing the status quo. Because I think very similarly to what you're saying, that we need women at the table where the decisions are being made. I also do think that it's amazing that women are also institutionalizing and creating new tables where these conversations can be had. And so with that said, I think, Tanya, can you maybe speak about what it's looked like for you as someone that does fundraising within the arts in order to make sure that this equity is achieved?
Yes, I think it's actually, I think it was so, the way you put it is actually so nice, because I think that was my line. My line was saying it's through the thinking and the funding that we make this, because I think many a times I looked at calls before, even in discussions with partners, and I think as a woman being able to cite that, one of the calls that we have in one of our programs at Bridges is that we have a 50-50 split on our program. So we will only enroll a 50-50 split. We're taking 24 students in 2 cohorts. And it's a discussion I had to bring to the attention of donors. We have this in conversations with them to understand. And when they ask us, I was busy with a report actually for NAC, to say what are some of our struggles and challenges. And it's to bring to the attention of the donor to say, our struggle is the recruitment. We have a scholarship free. 50% of that has to be seats for women. You know why we struggle? Because women have to give up their other livelihood, a job, to be in a full-time program. And how do we now help them within that program better that? So it might seem like a challenge to us, but it's in talking to donors and supporters and funders like NAC and saying, we are navigating this by ensuring that through the rest of our program, there are other vehicles that allow them to support their family. So she doesn't have to give up being able to be a breadwinner whilst learning and of course, in that time, helping herself to get better at her craft, ability to be there visually, and in the long term, bigger livelihood. Right now, she's looking at what's in front of her, which is very much a human nature thing for a mom or parent or young woman in any situation in who has to create livelihood. So sometimes for us, we say, but we're giving the opportunities to women, and they were like, but did you think about what that opportunity means? What does she have to give up when taking that opportunity? So I'm very happy that, I mean, these things come up in reporting, in ability to have conversations with donors, that it's not only about affording the opportunities, what does that opportunity look like? Because then that opportunity will lie there even if she can't take it then. And it's not that women don't want to take those opportunities, is what was the thinking when getting to that opportunity? What does she have to give up to take that opportunity to further her ability and her craft, or dream? So I think for me, the important thing is, one, more women in the room, but also I think more lived experience in the room through women. Not only women, but lived experience, like Pumla said, being there on the one side and then going on to the other side. Is the one thing I think I've learned, and also hearing through voices of our actual beneficiaries and me being able to tell that story to donors has really changed the game for us personally.
I really love that, because there are certain sensitivities that come with being a woman. I think our lives are so wide, like the spectrum of our lives are so wide, and the ways that like we serve both on like a personal level but also a collective level has to be fully acknowledged. But I also want us to talk about, the good stories that we've been able to generate through the work that we do. And I think, Veronica, I love the Back Factory and, the work that they've done at the institution. It's just so incredible. And so would you maybe like to share any good stories that you have as someone that is working in the creative sector, just to give our audience a sense of the goodness that can abound within the creative sector?
Yeah, and I'll answer that also while I'm answering what does inclusive, the future being inclusive, mean to me. And I want to build on what everybody has said, and that leads to the good stories from the Bag Factory and wider. But I think it's important that we don't think that, inclusion is not just representation. And it's also not about, difference being tolerated. It's about really understanding the value that women bring to the table as a source of creativity and as social intelligence. And I think it's really about how do we speak about inclusion across a number of different dimensions. It's about age, it's about class, race, geography, sexuality, and disability, of course. So it's not just about being invited into these structures. So when I heard my colleague Colin speak about the policies are all well and good. The women need to be part of the designing of those policies, not coming in afterwards. So they need to participate in redesigning those structures. So it really means, and this is where the Bag Factory comes in. We know that it's beyond representation, but it's about how do we really support in the best way we can the women artists by access to opportunities, locally, Pan-African and international. It's about the power of influence. How do they influence decisions? I think that's important. Again, we need to mentor our women artists about giving them the skills to recognize how they negotiate, to kind of call upon fair recognition, fair remuneration. And I think the biggest one that we focus on at the Bag Factory is ownership of intellectual property. I think men have got the voice and the agency because of male dominance. And this is where women do need to start being really included in having these conversations.
Mm, mm. I love that a lot. And I think it seems like there's like everyone is singing the same song, right? About, like just the tactility of women being able, to be decision makers and to have agency in order to create those opportunities for other people. Pumla, I'd like to hear, any of your achievements or delicious stories that you've cultivated along your journey, just to give our audience some inspiration.
Oh my goodness, where do I start? All right, so yes, again, started in the dance very young, very young. Um, so I knew my mom would do this thing in which she would always expose. I'm a twin, by the way, so she would
Oh,
always, yeah, she would always expose because she was an artist herself. She was a singer. She would travel with Brenda Fassies, and so I was exposed to this world, And yeah, she would do this thing where she exposes us to not just ballet and the forefront, but she would drag us along to Samro. So things like that, where then I realized how important it is for artists to be exposed to organizations that care about them and where they feel belonging, and also exposed, where they can touch and feel and hear people that are in the industry live, So that's when I started the Artist Bootcamp. So that's one of my biggest achievements. It was in 2016, where we give people a platform, singers, rappers, dancers. And then from there, I realized, okay, cool, there is a need for this. So then I moved into the radio station. World. I used to work at Kaya FM. So Kaya FM exposed me to a lot of, brand building and the marketing aspect. And how do I expose myself as well as artists that want to find platforms on radio. So I took those learnings and partnered up with a group of girlies where we started an artist management classes, how to manage brands and etc. So those were things that I was, because every single place I go, I take from and create opportunities for the rest of the rest of the people. And I guess one of my achievements I'm very proud of is my daughter. My daughter, I see how everyone's talking about their kids, and I think for me it was more of a sense of how do I put myself in a position where I am placed. I want to be promoted. I want to be the best that I can be, but also take care of a household. And that's where the dynamics change. So where the achievements for me would be being a mom first. For others, it would be, okay, this is what she has done in the industry. And I think for me, both of those have put me in positions where I am able to sit with everyone and talk about, how I'm changing the industry from the inside out. Talking about these things in the workplace. How do we include more women directors? How do we foster talent within the industry? How do we put women on platforms where they're just not just performing, but they're actually monetizing, where they're actually learning, where they're getting back and giving back. So yeah, I think for me that is my biggest achievement, and I won't stop. So yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. Tanya, I'm going to go over to you, and the question is going to be, I'd love to hear about your achievements. And I also want us to think about intersectionality when we are talking about inclusion, and for you to maybe share what barriers have you encountered in terms of opportunities for women with disabilities as you've done the work that you do?
So yeah, thank you. So a lot of wins always. I think there's lots of wins across, and I think that's also. I think for a fundraiser, the win is always like the bell in the office that goes off because the money's landed, which means we can open we can start new projects, we can do. So I think I'm always that person. But I think in the spaces that I've played, and sometimes disability is not physical always. And I think that's what we had to also learn. I think particularly, I think about the space when I was working at Zip Zap, and that's Zip Zap arts circus. You see that, but we also knew that we had worked in programs and creating spaces and opportunities for young people in homes, like homes where kids hadn't experienced trauma or lived on the street. And these were kids that were battling, and I say this with the utmost respect to Zipsa, being there for over 30 years. We were seeing kids that could not read and write, but you had to put them on a stage and see them perform. It, it would be the chalk and cheese of what when and back then I was even a programs person. I was sitting in the program side. So I would have someone come and do program, like certain lessons with them in the morning around computer and writing like CVs, and they battle. And the afternoon sessions were jam packed with getting on stage and getting on a sire wheel or strap act or scarf. And that same person sitting in that morning session was very different in the afternoon session. And for me, that's where the magic lived. And for me, with the team that I worked with back then, and I think quite completely, I mean, visionaries, Laurence and Brent, who ran ZipZap, and they started, was knowing that back then when they started in 1993 or 1992, arts, like you say, Colin, wasn't a thing. Going to school was what our parents ingrained in us. I'm an 88 baby, and was go be a nurse, a doctor, or something. Arts wasn't a thing for them. So even then, I think the big thing or the notion around that was then, because if you become a doctor, you're going to have a career, you're going to make a success, and you're going to be able to look after your family. Like you're saying, Pumla, you wanted to be, you have the best of both worlds. And what ZipZap did, and Bridges for Music now do similarly, is say it doesn't have to be that way. And like I said, disability isn't only physical disability, because in some cases, of course, if there was some part of physical disability, they were not, we in another space we call it differently able, not disability. You are differently able. You weren't maybe able to do certain things on a scarf, but even just the space being open for you if you had an intellectual disability, but being able to still work on your craft. And in now, and I look back, I've left that org many moons ago, I see many of them being artists that are now performing, touring, creating livelihoods back for that family that they came from, back, and maybe not that direct family and that they had left or they had abandoned them, but back into communities and spaces. And I think that's the magic. I think also with my mom hat on, like Pumla said, I have an academic son and I have an autistic daughter, and they are not cut from the same cloth. And I see it more and more now as a mom, and making sure, as happy as I am to see those A's on his report, I am endorsing that same amount of love and care and curiosity for my daughter, who's saying, but I like to dance. This is my thing. And I think that's where the power lives, and that's where I think is the breaking of the barrier. It's the mindset of what we put into their minds, into what comes out of our mouths, and what we echo into their hearts and in their minds, and what will resonate with them in this hardship. Because creating I see it at Bridges now, creating a livelihood and a career for artists and creatives in South Africa is hard. And it doesn't have to be any harder if we're not speaking life into it or truth and helping them get there. So I think that's where I've seen barriers with disabilities and also seen the success.
Yeah, thank you so much, I think, for sharing that wide spectrum of experience, because I think what I'm also understanding is that there's a place under the sun for everyone, right? So, what measures do we put in place to make sure that everyone is able to live in their light and really reach their full potential? Because yeah, I think being an artist is just, it's one of the most beautiful things. We're nothing without art. If you're thinking about our lives, if there was no music, life would just be so sad and muted, and even just like with the visual arts, if we couldn't gesture in a way where I can draw you and I can draw your spirit, I think life would just be incredibly, incredibly dull. Colin, I'd like to hear from you, some of the success stories that you have up your belt, and then also, some of the challenges that you have seen in terms of working with women with disabilities and being able to, provide measures of inclusion for them.
Yeah, no, thanks, Pumi. So some of the, I think, case studies I can point to would be the work we've been doing with young people in the townships, township creative entrepreneurs based in the Val, where we've partnered with Empower Youth, and we had more than 2,000 young people earlier this year. And we ran masterclasses on financial literacy to really empower them and equip them to start to understand that their art can really translate into a business. And yeah, we've been working with young people, and also we've created a new platform now called Creator, which is a platform for female creative entrepreneurs, whereby we are able to take them through a boot camp with various experts, and then ultimately it culminates at creative synergy, where they pitch their ideas and some of the work that they do, some of the projects they have that are scalable, or funding from group of investors. And that pitch competition, we believe, would be a catalyst for more women to see that if you're in the arts, you can be a creative entrepreneur. You don't have to pigeonhole yourself into just being an artist. But it is important that you transition into looking at your career more as a creative entrepreneur, because that is how you'll be able to grow and have more agency and freedom. Because once you have more resources and you are in control of your IP, like Veronica said, that's your currency. Intellectual property is your currency as a creator. Otherwise, you will forever be beholden to those who have the money and who employ you. Because why go into the arts if you want to be an employee? All right. You have to have the mindset of the arts actually is a gateway for you to achieve that kind of freedom and run your own enterprise as an artist. So that's the work we're doing. We're raising that awareness with female artists, that this is the right space for you to be a creative entrepreneur. And we help them then with mobilizing those investors and venture capitalists and commercial banks, and help them to structure their businesses to be investable and bankable.
I love that. I really, really love that a lot. So I also just want us to talk about access. And I think to just bridge this, I started an initiative called Gliding Through the Gallery sometime last year, because I really wanted to make art more accessible to the greater public. But I think that access, gets to benefit the artists, because if more people know about the arts, it means that we have more collectors within the art space. We have more people that are interested in funding and supporting artists, because they, have more information about what the arts are about. And also they then begin to develop pathways of support to understand that since I have, access to the space, these are the ways that I can support. And so, Veronica, I just want to pose this to you. As someone, for example, you was talking about the Venice Biennale, right? That kind of becomes, our art becomes accessible to the global audiences. But I want to talk about, accessibility. What do you think it looks like for women within the arts? But also, I think, how can we make it accessible to the audiences as well?
That's such a big question. And it often came up when we were kind of presenting the concept that we took for the South African Biennale. And I think there's so many different things. And again, this comes back to funding and what the NAC does and what Tanya does. So for accessibility to something like the Venice Biennale, we know that there were a number of South Africans who did attend, but we also know that those that attended have the disposable income. But there are many others who appreciate the art and who really are committed to supporting South African art who just don't have the means. So I'm still curious and still thinking about what could be put in place to enable that there's more accessible ways of going, maybe not to Venice, but I think increasing access locally to really get more people exposed to the different galleries, the different artists, the different art entities can really start creating the appetite and the curiosity before we then think about what needs to be put in place. We know funding is going to be the first answer for that, of having people go to appreciate South African art in Venice Biennale. Sadly, we didn't have a Biennale, a pavilion this year, but I'm hoping that in future there will be. And that's when we need places like the NAC and other funding and other funders and donors to really find ways of having people go so that art does become a lot more accessible. I think as well for schools, starting at that age, we're wanting to speak to collectors because that's where we know we can negotiate good prices. But access starts from a younger level. How do we educate children at school about art? How do we invite them to attend museums and galleries? And we have students, we have schools come to the Bag Factory to really see the artist studios. Some of the artists do paint workshops. So accessibility is quite a big topic, and it can be addressed in different aspects of society.
Mm. And what does it look like in the dance space, Pumla? Just being able, because it's quite a niche, part of the arts. But it's also when you think about how, people essentially can organize for themselves. If you're thinking about like Amapantsula and all these other subcultures within dance, I think people have given themselves access. But what does it look like, I think, from, a more formalized perspective to be able to make the space accessible?
I love what Veronica said actually, because those access, like people don't have money, people don't have access to the internet as much as we think we do. People don't have much access to how do I get from point A to point B. So I think it's very, very important. And access looks like for me is the people that are in these communities that have those type of access, they need to be those ones to play a better role in making sure that it is information like this is accessible. I grew up in Berea, Hillbrow, Yeovil, right? One of the dingiest, or people would say, places in Johannesburg. But I found my way. I found my way because I'd always go and look at, I'd walk all the way from where I lived to Windybro Theatre. That was one of the theatres my mom used to act at. Hillbrow Theatre, community centers, and now how do we then create posters, printouts to put these things out there to say, okay, there's this opportunity. Because again, we are in a digital world, but not everyone is accessible to digital spaces. You know what I mean? So we need to find ways who got ourselves out, or some people that are still in there, to find ways to make it more accessible. Dancing is for me like that's where my career was started, and I'll always pay homage to it. So finding ways to bring back, tell the story, give back to the people that need it more. And then from there, once we capture them and once they see what's possible, then we give them more insights on how the world looks. Again, I think someone said something about building an economy around yourself, not just being an artist or a dancer, but finding ways to monetize from different aspects, become accessible yourself. So instead of fighting for access, become accessible. Find ways, how do I, maybe I can buy dresses and rent them out to Abo Pumla who are looking to do music videos now, and then from there, you start seeing different ways to monetize and be accessible. So yeah.
I love that. I love that a lot. And I think, we do need to kind of engage the analog, because that's what makes information equitable. I mean, we grew up to posters where you'd be walking from school and then you see a really, really cool poster and you're standing in front of it. And next thing you know, you're at the
Yeah.
So yeah, I really think that we kind of have to time travel, and understand, because even in the digital space, like, you miss certain things, and I think people that grew up in Hillbrow, I find them to be, or like Bays Valley, like my friend comes from Bays Valley, and
Yeah.
so much of what she experienced of the city was just by chance and by coincidence, and just bumping into that. Cotton, as
Mm.
someone that goes into the township, and I think, hopefully some of our listeners are also people that are within the township space and trying to think about how they can activate within their communities. What are some strategies for accessibility that you guys have leveraged off that, other people can kind of bite from after this conversation in order for them to organize for their communities in less digital ways?
No, cool. I think just before I respond to that, I just want to weigh in also on what Pumla was talking about. I also grew up in Perea around 1993, around that time. It was not as dingy as it is. That's why you could walk to a Windowbrow theater. Not anymore, right? But talking about access, I remember in 2024, we took 5 female fashion designers to New York Fashion Week, together with Give Her a Crown, which is an organization that's doing a really amazing work for female creators, and Jaguar Land Rover. And I was shocked by what we heard at New York Fashion Week. They said this is the first time we're having female fashion designers from South Africa exhibiting here on the runway. You would think naturally that there's so many female fashion designers, surely this should be a norm, but it's not. For the longest time, the people that have been walking the runway at New York Fashion Week is your David Tlale, it's maybe a Makosa, etc., Tebe Makuku, and all those uh, uh, female designers. But where are the female fashion designers? Clearly, we need to start, really looking under the hood about what's the reason why we are not having more female designers showcasing at these global platforms, because we have the talent. We have talent abound, but we are not seeing that talent really being exported into the world. And that's really a travesty. And we need to, I think, ask those critical questions, especially with the powers that be, and make sure there's interventions that are put in place to ensure that we create those pathways. Now, coming back to your question on the townships. So, in the townships, yes, there's we have issues of poverty, which then result in people not being able to afford data to watch a webinar such as this one for 2-3 hours. But there is small things that, an organization such as the National Arts Council and others, the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, why don't you just have a screening of this webinar at a school or at a church? There's so many, creative ways that we can enable access for people to start to have access to information, because it starts there. Once people are informed, they are able to then better themselves and work on their own strategies to empower themselves. But we need to empower people with knowledge. We need to go back to those days where we make libraries sexy again, so that people can go to a space where they're able to suck in this information. And libraries these days, when you go to developed countries, you see that libraries are still a place where most people flock to. It's not the same in South Africa. And I think that mindset needs to change. Someone who is responsible for looking after libraries within the Department of Arts and Culture needs to find more creative ways and evolve the thinking of that libraries are just about books. Libraries, we have a huge network of libraries in South Africa, and half of that network is becoming what the post office has become, like just white elephants. But these are spaces where we should be, ensuring that people are able to go there, empower themselves with the right knowledge. And it's just an example that I'm making here, but there are so many institutions we have within, the townships, and we cannot have creatives who are all doing the same thing when these days there is so much, the world is your oyster. There's so much you can do. You find people, for example, I always make this example of in the township, you'll find a lady who's selling tomatoes, and there's 5 others who are selling the same tomatoes in the same street. We cannot have that same mentality. In this digital age now, that we have creatives who are making hundreds of thousands out of just creative content from smartphones. Why can't we have workshops and masterclasses to teach people in the townships on how they can take advantage of this advanced technology? And now AI is, if we embrace it in the right way and use those tools, it's going to open up a whole world of more opportunities for young people in the townships. But we need the whole ecosystem to work together. We all need to put shoulder to the wheel and unlock these opportunities. We have the highest unemployment rate in the townships in South Africa, and we need to see this as a crisis and act with urgency.
I completely agree. And I think you said so many things there, just about like the act of learning communally, right? Because I think, now that we're on our smartphones, there's a sense of separation in the way that we learn and consume knowledge. But we grew up to libraries, where there was even like round tables where there'd be a lot of you studying at the same time and exchanging knowledge. And I think even thinking about, using information like this, like the information from this webinar, to be able to, send that out. The NAC, we are winking at you, because I do think that, you guys should also just be thinking about the ways to expand. You have expanded, I think, the availability of the information, but I do think that the expansion could be bigger and the engagement could be more on the ground, so that other people can be able to access this. So before we open up to the rest of the people on the webinar, I just want to close off with a quick fire question. So I'm going to start. I'm going to go back to you, Veronica, and I'm going to ask you to please complete the sentence. So the sentence starts as, the future is inclusive when. So can you please complete the sentence for us?
The future is inclusive when women are not merely visible in the creative economy, but really have access and ownership and the power to shape it. So we mustn't confuse visibility with equality and equity. So it's when women have what they need to be sustainable and their environments conducive to producing work that can then really contribute to the creative economy.
I love that. Pumla, would you like to complete the sentence for us, please? The future is inclusive when?
Yes, so the future is inclusive when, for me, this is for me, when we don't need organizations like Women in Music to, drill in the fact that we need to be included. That for me, I think would be a great future. Um, Organizations like this should be creating more comforting and more encouraging platforms for women, but not us fighting. I'm tired of fighting. I think I'm sure everyone is tired of fighting. So
Mm,
it's inclusive when we stop the fight and we are included naturally. Thank you.
mm, mm. I love that word specifically, naturally. Yeah, just so that we can ease into, inclusivity. Tanya, I'd like to know from you, the future is inclusive when?
I think we said a seat at the table so many times, but for me, I think women of all races with various lived experience have a seat at the table with power and real voice, and not merely a part of the implementation and execution. Yeah, that's how I feel.
Mm, thank you so much. Colin, I'm going to hand it over to you. The future is inclusive when?
So I will just repeat what everyone said, because I think we're all on the same page that really the future is inclusive when women have decision-making powers. It- That's really the gist of it. Women need to have power. It's not enough for them to just be, the face of representation or inclusivity, but when they actually have decision-making powers on who, in broadcasts, for example, who gets commissioned for certain projects, um, in festivals, who is programming that festival, because the person who's programming that festival decides if am I going to put my friends in there, or am I going to be conscious of the fact that no, there's we need to have 50% women included in this program. So we really need to have women in decision-making spaces, and that's very critical.
Thank you so much for that. So we are going to be handing our chat over to our audience. So please do raise your hand if you have a question, and you will be unmuted so that you share your question with us. But before we go over to the questions, I'd just like each panelist to let us know how we can engage, and I think that can also maybe inform our Q&A if people have more questions about how they can engage you and your institutions in order to progress within their fields. Tanya, you are nodding really, really profusely, and I love that. So we're going to start with you. So yeah, as we close our conversation, I'd love for you to just share with our audience how they can engage.
So I nodded because I think for me, I brought it up in our discussions. We ran a program called the Talent Development Program. And it's one of our core programs at Bridges for Music. And each cohort, like I said, has to have a 50-50 split of females, which is very hard in the music space sometimes because women don't think they have a place. They always think it DJs for men or music or those kinds of things. So even though we provide a full scholarship, we do battle to get really good candidates that are female. NAC supports that program, which is a guy that's been with us for a long time, which is great. And I think for me, it's a big shout out in the space, even though I'm not a musician, I'm not a creative, but I know that this can create livelihoods. We can, and even at thinking, Colin, entrepreneurship is something we teach in the program to become entrepreneurial. The AI we've brought in through our programs on digital skills the point is having a small MBA. It's creating a little bit of an MBA in 5 months, where you come in, and I don't want to say eat, breathe, and sleep the course, but to some extent it does. But it has such an important after, I want to say after service or after care program is we have an alumni program. It's called an industry access program. So when you go through our full scholarship, you have access to another thing. And it's exactly what Pumla said is in there is mentorship, in there is industry experts, in there is people that will help you take it to the next level, which is what many of them need. So my shout out, one, thank you to NAC for supporting this program and being one of the first and supporters of this program for Bridges for Music. But I think the other one is that because we have this platform, and I know that industries and people who are in the space are looking at it, please get in touch with us. We are looking to get more females involved in this, more females involved in our program itself to create those mentorships programs for future creatives. So I think, yeah, that's my plea. Look out for Bridges for Music and please connect with us.
Okay, speaking of music and dance, Pumla, would you like to share how the audiences can engage?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, as part of Women in Music, I do urge a lot of women to reach out. I'm going to send an email address, so where you can just come in and put in your details, be part of us, be part of the movement. I think for us, we do give opportunities. We find opportunities for women to perform, to be in spaces. So if you feel like you are that, then please send us. We'll send you an application form. For example, just now we had at the Basadi in Women Awards, we gave 10 women an opportunity to perform on the stage. So, and that's just one of, and then it's back to city, and it's the Standard Bank Jazz Festival. So we're always looking for opportunities to place women. So yeah, I will send the information for you to apply, please.
Stunning. Thank you so much. Veronica, could you please share with us how the audience can engage as well as leverage?
Sure. So from an engagement perspective, I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. And the thing that I'm excited about, because the work that I do as an executive coach and a leadership development facilitator, I'm recognizing more and more how women artists and women in the arts can really benefit from leadership development programs and mentorship. I was one of the mentors and ran the BASA mentor program for a while. So I'm offering women leadership skills in the arts that will enable them to lead teams better, to be able to manage buyers and collectors from a customer excellence, service excellence perspective, about just personal brand. You know, all the things that we do for women leadership in the corporate world, I'm really doing that more in the arts now because I think there's such a big need. Just being passionate about art doesn't always create a conducive culture for personal development and growth. So hook me up. I'm waiting to hear from you.
They will definitely be hearing from you will definitely be hearing from them soon. Colin, as an ally, in the arts, could you please just tell us more about how people can engage as well as leverage from the initiatives that you run?
Right, no, thanks for me. What I would suggest people do to engage with us is through creativesynergy.co.za, also on various social media platforms. But more importantly, I would say come go onto our website, creativesynergy.co.za, and register to attend our policy and investment symposium for the creative economy. It's the second edition. We are running on the 3rd of September. So come through and learn with us. and be empowered. There's going to be powerful discussions there, creative interventions. It's an amazing program, and I'd encourage, everyone to join us on this movement. We're doing amazing stuff. Look out for our creative entrepreneurial platform and competition. In the next few months, we'll be making those announcements on the Creative Synergy website. Thank you.
Okay. Stunning. To everyone in the audience, as you can hear, the lines are open. So all you need to do is just, ring them up, get in touch so that you can be able to leverage. So I'm going to be posing some of the questions to our specific panelists. And the first one, I think, Pumla, would be more appropriate for you, especially because you work with women in music. So Urja Music says that as a female artist working in Indian music, she has a few encounters um, with a very basic problem about where they actually fit, right? So where does Indian music fit within the greater ecosystem? Because at many awards, there simply isn't a category that centers that genre of music, and it then makes them invisible. So, what do you think can be done to kind of troubleshoot this? And, what do you think as industry professionals you need to be doing in order to, make this more inclusive?
Sheesh. Actually, this is the first ever I've heard of this, and I think it's something that. Thank you for the question. It's something that we definitely deeply need to have a conversation about, and I know from our side, for example, hip hop. Right, hip hop was not a big thing, especially in South Africa. It was jazz, it was Afro soul. So what happened was a founder, Os McMenway, had to create these spaces for hip hop to live, right? And so I would challenge you. So that's me. I would challenge you if you sing. There's an opportunity for Indian music and other um, genres of music that lives close to your heart. Um, Reach out to me. Let's see how do we expose and how do we create platforms, because it's about creating platforms, seeing how do we get investments for these platforms, and is there a need for is there actually not even just a need, but is there a want for more for this type of platform? And so I would say, hey, reach out to me. Let's see I'm very inclusive, so I really would like to explore those opportunities, especially working at a record label. It would also give light to seeing how do we then include everyone in different genres if there is a need for it. And yeah, I'd say reach out to me definitely. Hit me up
Mm,
on Instagram and let's have these conversations. These are serious conversations we need to definitely have. But
yeah.
if there is something I'd want you to leave with this is create the spaces that you see you need, you know. If there is no foundation, if there is no space, create it. Let's find ways on how to fund it. But yeah, I think that's very interesting. Thank you.
Mm. And I think it's Toni Morrison that says that there's a certain book that she wanted to read and it didn't exist, and that's how she started writing, right? She was writing the books that she wanted to read. So
Exactly.
I definitely
Exactly.
think that this is very generative,
Yeah,
Pumla, because they can have direct access to you in order for this to be addressed. But
absolutely.
in the
Absolutely.
same breath, I do think, yeah, at a grassroots, it's important for them to also organize in order to, also just create more access for other people within their own communities.
Great. Great.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I love this next comment. I think it's more of a comment than a question. And I think, Colin, it really speaks to what you were, pointing to. So Nimbus says, I work with deaf artists and have done a first ever Deaf Theatre Festival in South Africa. I just want to say congratulations. That's absolutely incredible. We want to create an environment where deaf creatives thrive within the creative industry, have an understanding of creative economy and how to attain it. So this is my favorite part of this comment. We are gathered now in a hall with an interpreter screening the webinar and hearing such views on inclusivity and the importance of IP accessibility and creating policies that work for artists with disability as we move and how we move forward as a country. We really, really love this. Oh, that's just so beautiful. That you are gathered in that way. That's really, really stunning. So I just want to check, does anyone have their hand up?
No, we currently don't have any hands. If anyone in the audience would like to ask a question live, you can go ahead and raise your hand.
So we also have, another comment just saying it's so refreshing to have a male voice with such intelligent women. Good work to the NAC. Colin, it's really good to have you here. We needed our thorn. Okay, so we have another question. So this person was saying, I appreciate this discussion enormously. As an artist who works in dance, sculpturing, and jewelry making for the last 20 years, we hope that we get the opportunity to address our concerns. And for decades, I have believed that South Africa diplomatic missions should play a much stronger role in taking South African artists and cultural ambassadors into countries where they are stationed. Around 25 years ago, I approached the South African mission in India to ask whether the mechanism to support South African artists to perform and showcase our culture there, and I was told they did not have such a department, and I should approach South African tourism. For me, this raises a larger question around cultural diplomacy. If our embassies are representing South Africa abroad, why should our artists not be part of that representation? Veronica, would you like to take on this question, please?
Where is the question? It was very long, and I just need to be able to capture. I'm scrolling on the chat trying to find it so that I can answer coherently.
So it is, let me see.
Unless you can maybe just summarize the question.
Okay, so I think essentially what the person is asking is, because we have diplomats around like the globe, why isn't it that artists can leverage from this in order to be able to export our cultural production to the rest of the world?
Okay, great. So that's a great question. And I mean, the limited interaction I had with the South African ambassador in Venice, in Italy, when I was involved with the South African Pavilion, they were extremely supportive. And again, I think from the South African diplomatic, the office that manages all our diplomatic teams all over the world, I think there's an amazing opportunity to encourage. And I think most or what do you call them, like embassies or consultancies or missions or whatever. Some of them, I know the international ones based in South Africa that I've had interaction with are called cultural attaches, I think. So the South African offices all over the world, their cultural attaches should really be focusing more and more on how to invite and create more exposure of South African artists' work on the global stage. I think that would be definitely one of the things, because without that network, in order for us to get any exposure outside of the area of our own orbit and influence, we need networks. So we have to really lean heavily into those diplomatic networks and encourage more art to be invited and exposed to galleries in those respective countries and to exhibitions in those respective countries. So that would definitely be the one way. There are a number of artists already who do have galleries abroad that represent them. But I think if we want to look at it, I'm sure it's a very small percentage. And invariably, those would be really established artists. There's a lot of good talent that's still coming up that could start being given those opportunities as part of their development strategies and growth strategies as well. So those are my thoughts. I don't know if any of my colleagues would like to add. Thank you, Colin.
Thanks, Veronica. If I may add, this is some of the work I've done. I've done a lot of work in the cultural diplomacy space, and I can tell you that where we really are falling behind on in South Africa is that, first of all, we do not have a cultural diplomacy policy. So in 2017, the South African Cultural Observatory produced a report where they made recommendations to the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture to develop a cultural diplomacy policy, because that's where it starts. That policy is our North Star. It will tell us that these are the countries of priority for the next 5 years. These are the countries where we will have cultural exchange programs. So, for example, the Venice Biennale, why is that not a priority? And why does it fall through the cracks in certain years, and some years it happens? So we need to have a cultural diplomacy policy as a country. Within the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture, there's an international desk on cultural diplomacy. In DERCO, there's an international desk, but they are working in silos. Why are we not harnessing these policies and developing them and ensuring that we are clear on what are we doing from a cultural perspective with BRICS, with the BRICS bloc of countries? What are we doing from a cultural perspective with the US, etc.? You look at other countries, for example, like the French, they have an Alliance Française. Alliance Française is in most countries where they'll have a French embassy, but there'll be an Alliance Française. They'll have a German embassy, but there'll be a Goethe Institute.
Yeah.
And why don't we have an Ubuntu House in New York? Why don't we have an Ubuntu House in Berlin? Where as South Africans, if you are in that country, there's an opportunity for you to engage in cultural activities through this vehicle. So we are not even out of the starting blocks yet when it comes to cultural diplomacy, unfortunately. But a lot of work still needs to be done in that area. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. I love the concept of having Ubuntu House in different parts of the world. I think that's just a really, really brilliant idea. So we also have a comment from our Facebook from Umbali, who says, it's time we start teaching our artists how to translate their creative training skills into economic opportunities here in South Africa and beyond. Mbali, we love that comment because it's definitely important for that translation to happen so that it can go beyond. We also have a comment from Umpumelelo who says the future is inclusive when a creative business makes generational business sense. I have introduced my little one in the creative industry. We love that a lot. And I think Tanya was also speaking about that, right? To just be able to nurture the next generation as well as we continue to grow as a creative ecosystem. So I see that we have another question in the chat that I'm going to ask one of our panelists to please look into. So thank you for highlighting the arts and creativity. Jonathan asks, is there an example of a country that has good representation of women in arts and creativity, something that can possibly be used as a case study? Would anyone on the panel like to take that on? Do you know a country that's inclusive so that we can kind of look to it as a case study? So is this like a global, are we experiencing this to be a global phenomenon and issue?
I think given the gender inequality in so many different aspects and sectors of most countries, I don't know the facts. So this is just my opinion and my view. I would imagine, based on the gender inequality in most sectors, that female artist representation in the world have similar challenges. But it's a great question, and it's one that I'm definitely going to make a note of and try and find some kind of case study or find data that perhaps highlights a country that has it, that's doing it well, from which we can learn. So it's a great question. I don't have the full answer. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So we also have a hand from S. Govender. I'll just ask, from D. Govender, sorry. So yeah, I'll just ask that you please unmute them. Sibabalwe. And then they can ask the question. Please let us know what your name is and what you do, and then you can definitely share your question.
Hi, I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Hear you.
I am Miss D. Govender. I am the owner of Akshara Academy of Arts. So I've just got a question regarding something I've experienced. So I was an artist that was born and raised in apartheid in South Africa. And our art was then limited according to our race groups. So what I'm looking forward to, obviously now with the National Arts Council and these initiatives, is that artists of all races and of all different skills, such as painting, sculptures, dance, a lot of those artistic skills, we hope that now everything will be recognized around South Africa and we'll have more accessibility to access, the artistic skills around South Africa.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's really, really good that, there's been progression and people have more agency around what they want to create. Because even, within the African art space, there was a time where a lot of artists, weren't allowed into fine art school, and the institutions that they were attending were more focused on painting and drawing. But right now, we're very excited to see all these other mediums be explored. So before we go, I think we're just going to ask the panel to just share their final remarks and anything else that you'd like to get off your chest before we close off our session. Veronica, I'm going to open up with you, and then with the rest of the panel, please just feel free to share your closing remarks as we...
Sorry, Mpumi, we have one more raised hand from Lerato. Lerato, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, thank you, Lerato. You can please tell us who you are and what you do, and share your question with us.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Lerato Molokumpahlele. I work at the National Arts Council as the Organizational Effectiveness Coordinator. I intentionally wanted to be one of the last ones to engage, and maybe what my comments that I'm raising might become as comments and not necessarily a question to the panel. But one of the things that I think as the National Arts Council, our positioning is that we do funding development in marginalized provinces. But what is important, and I'm getting from the discussions here, is that there's more work in terms of creating more creative hubs or economic creative hubs that could actually be focal points of export accessibility to people like Creative Synergies and other speakers here that we can actually take as a brand essay to international markets. Because I think we were quite saturated within your dominant provinces like your Western Cape, KZN, and Gauteng, where we have very good, economic hubs of the creative industry within the various disciplines. But it would be very interesting to have people within the sector actually creating those economic hubs and those kind of creative opportunities or corridors within other provinces, because I think there is much indigenous talent that is there. And as the NAC, we really do fund those things. They just need to be unearthed. And those who are in the specialities of those, I think this is a great opportunity as we are discussing these kind of things of the creative the CCI economy and one of the recommendations that do come out from SACO, which plays a very instrumental role in how we then shape this sector. With that, but thank you so much to all the guest speakers, really insightful engagements. Happy Women's Month to every woman. Thanks.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Lerato.
Happy Women's Month to you, and thank you for enlightening us with all of that information as we close. And I hope that people in our audience will be able to hear you and to leverage. I do think that it's really important for other provinces to be centered as well, because the cultural production that comes out of like the small towns should be seen and celebrated and supported as well. Veronica, I'm going to hand over to you just for you to share your closing remarks as we wrap up our session together.
Yeah, I actually prepared for that. So I'd like to just leave everybody firstly with saying thank you for being here. And also just a big reminder, this is so important, that women have never lacked creativity, courage, or imagination. What has too often been lacking are the systems that fully recognize, resource, and trust that creativity. So the future will not become inclusive simply because more women are visible. As I said earlier, visibility doesn't mean equity. It becomes inclusive when women have access, agency, ownership, influence, and the power to shape the institutions around them. And especially for women with disabilities, inclusion must never be an afterthought. It must be designed from the very beginning, because too often it's like, and even if we think about access in theatres, there's access for the audience, but is there ever thought given to access for behind the scenes, for being on the stage, for the back rooms and things like that? So I think if we really are serious about shaping South Africa's creative economy, then our task is to invite women into existing rooms. It is to create the conditions in which women can reimagine the room, redesign the rules, and help lead us into different future. So for me, that is when future truly becomes inclusive. And so I think somebody used the term about having a seat at the table. I want to influence the menu. I don't want just a seat at the table. I want to know what's on the menu and who's cooked the food. And I want to cook the food. Thank you. Thank you so much, Pumi.
I love that so much. There's so many gems and pearls of wisdom that you just dropped. And I hope that everyone in the webinar has picked them up, because I picked up my gems, definitely. I also love the analogy around the menu. We can definitely have more. We can definitely have more. Pumla, would you like to share your pearls of wisdom as we close our time together, please?
Absolutely. For me, I would definitely say, guys, don't wait for permission to believe that you belong. You belong in any space you want to be in, whether it's the arts, whether it's the behind the scenes. You belong. You belong, and you should find ways to put your foot in there. Break those doors, break those windows, get in through any way that you need to be. As long as you know that that's where you belong, get in there. So that's just me. And yeah, just don't allow people to convince you that you are not enough. Because I think for me, that's something that I had to learn, being from where I come from, like my background, my living conditions, my background, then moving into different spaces and finding myself into where I am today is, you will find places, you will find where you think you don't belong and you shouldn't be in these spaces because you weren't born rich, or you weren't, you know. So I'd always say, speak to yourself, find ways to elevate yourself. You should be there. God wouldn't put you here if you weren't meant to be here. You know what I mean? So break these barriers. As an artist, I think it's very, very important to understand that imposter syndrome is a thing for everyone, you know, but it sits with you. And how do you break those barriers and say, you know what, I belong here and I want to be in these spaces. So break those barriers. And I love you guys. Thank you so much for everything. This was beautiful.
Oh, that's so stunning. Tanya, we would love to hear from you. We know that you're going to give us gems, so embellish us.
I personally just want to say thank you again for the space, and I think NAC having the wisdom and the knowledge to know that these are conversations. I know you guys do a lot of work, but also to give people the space to also be around the table. I just think about the library and around the table and this kind of conversation for me. It's left me feeling enriched. So that's a big one for me. I wrote, go for it. It's there for the taking, even if it's hard, and in some cases, twice as hard, especially for women, especially in spaces where there is differently able people. But never stop believing. I think, Pumla, you hit the nail on the head with the imposter syndrome. It is, I think, in any space when you walk in, especially when you don't come from the background, if it's moving 3 taxis early in the morning, all of these kinds of things that just seem impossible. The path might not look like anyone else, and it's okay. It's not supposed to. And when we get that right, and that's a switch, unfortunately, that we make with our hearts and with our heads, and sometimes more with our heart than with our head, because our head sees and our minds just go into imposter syndrome mode. But when you feel like it's not the way it should be, or I don't fit in, it's actually that's the time when you have to just really be resilient and discerning in that moment. And especially for women, happy Women's Day to every woman watching and listening and engaging. And we were meant to take up space. That's the point. We were engineered and wired in a way that we were meant to take up space, and we must never stop believing that we have a place and space to take up, like knowing what's on the menu, but also cooking it. So yeah, that's my long
Oh,
thing.
that's stunning. That's very, very stunning. Colin, we would love to hear your closing remarks and any gems that you have for the people in the audience.
Phew. No, we're living with a bowl of gems today. No, thank you, ladies, and thank you for having us. Thanks, NAC. It was a real privilege to engage in these conversations, and yeah, Mpumi, you were also amazing as a facilitator and guiding the conversation. So those are your virtual flowers. Um, so look, I think maybe just to start off by saying it's not all doom and gloom. We've made some strides as, you know, as a country and as a creative sector, but a lot still needs to be done. And this is just a conversation starter. Let's have more of this. Let's continue this conversation we are having today. We need to have more and more of this type of conversations so that some people, they need to hear it 4 times before they start to change their mindset. Unfortunately, that's somehow some people are wired like that. But we need to continue having this conversation, not only on Women's Month, but on a regular basis. Let's create platforms where the platforms don't exist for us to be able to start to make the change that we want to see. And I'm really encouraged by, you know, the appetite from various funding bodies, DFIs, that are starting to fund, Black-owned, women enterprises in the creative sector. But I think what needs to really start to change is these once-off grants. They don't really create a sustainable sector. We need to create a real infrastructure that is going to move us forward and ensure that the, women-led creative enterprises can really thrive in a big way. And I'd also like to end by just saying, the future is inclusive when the rooms where funding and opportunity are decided and look like the sector that they claim to serve. I think I would leave it there, Bumi, and thanks a lot. And let's continue the conversations, guys. Looking forward to seeing you at Creative Synergy.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, I think from home, let's just give our panel a gentle round of applause. Thank you so much for sharing all your insights. You have been just so generous and open, and you've made your wealth of knowledge available to our audience today. They're also clapping and sending hearts. This session has been very, very generative. And we just hope that everyone in attendance has, picked something up that is really going to help them in their journey and their practice. We also love the fact that you've shared, your platform so that people can go and engage more and learn more, and also just leverage off of the opportunities that are being made available. Happy Women's Month to everyone, and to all the women on the call. I just want to say that you can build and create the world that you want to see. The power is in your hand. The future is definitely ours to make and construct in a way that is beautiful. So, yeah, we look forward to seeing more flowers bloom and creativity continue to thrive through the work that we do. Thank you so much to everyone that attended the call. And our time together ends here.